this might challenge everything you've heard around the topic, okay? You can do this in a healthier way. Hi. The video you're about to watch features me getting sick for several days that actually ended up being dragged out into a period of 2 weeks. You can still probably hear it in my voice. It happened at the time that my momentum was really rolling. Every week I was seeing changes. I had a lot of faith in my plan. I was feeling really comfortable with the direction I was going. And then boom, energy's gone, muscles are aching, just awful. And you'll see kind of how it affected me mentally, what I did when I was coming out of it, and how I typically recommend to people, including myself, ways of getting back on track. So a lot of it is around reorganizing your space, going back to the basics of your workout and reprioritizing things. And then if you go off diet or off plan for a while, it's like how to deal with the mental guilt and thoughts that end up leading us to black and white thinking. We all know that doesn't work well, especially if you're going into a contest prep. I want to go in mentally and physically healthy. That's my number one priority. And coming out of it was a challenge. I'm going to be honest. It was really tough, but we made it through. Here we are. We're starting to add cardio now. Positive thoughts are rolling back in. So let's rebuild that momentum and confidence and take you through that part of it too. Also, I say we so many times at the end of that last clip, but it's really me. I'm coaching myself in this. I'm getting some advice along the way from professionals that I trust, but mainly sticking to the plan, my intuition, my understanding of my body, my understanding of nutrition and longevity as well in the sport. First, check out this clip that I didn't include in the last video I posted, but it shows you how I was doing before I got sick. Last time I competed, there were a lot of competitors. So it depends on the time of year and what show you go to, but the competition can be pretty steep. How many transformation photos have you seen of people in these programs that people sell you over the years that you don't actually know how they're doing a year later, a few months later? Wow, like 80-day transformation. This is crazy. And then we don't know where they end up. Of course, some of them might have been able to sustain their transformation in some ways, but more often than not, when it's so cut and dry like that, we don't see the bigger picture, and we really have to think for the longer term. So it's not a race. It really is a marathon. It's one of those things I think Simon Sinek says, like if you go to the gym, you come home, you look in the mirror, like nothing changes. And it's the same with nutrition. You have to look at it longer term. Going through yo-yo diets and things, it will backfire, and you have to start from a foundation that is really hard to rewire, especially when it comes to changing the dialogue around fueling your muscles and resisting the urge to just drop calories. That's what I really want to share and kind of prove through this prep experience, that I'm not crash dieting. I'm not going into a cut mode. I'm looking for tangible changes over time that are ultimately going to set me up for a healthy reverse and a longer term maintenance. It's really important that I mention that this fit model competition is not a competition of who's the lightest. They don't bring a scale on stage and get you to weigh yourself or take measurements. That's not what's happening here. It's who can look the fullest, the best presented, the most energized on stage, has a shape that meets the requirements. And shape is built by muscle. It's not built on getting as skinny as possible, right? So I want to share that side of prep. It's about, again, that shape, that structure, and how you present yourself. And so I can't wait to share more about that with you because there's a lot that goes into it. And I want to bring my best shape. So that's taking a lot of fueling as of now. So eating really great meals that I enjoy, I feel good, I feel energized, optimizing digestion, right? So it's not just about having enough calories, but where they're coming from, still having treats here and there for sure, but you want to keep that digestion good because it's going to help you metabolize your nutrients and actually use them, right, for fuel. I'm still feeling very sick. Supposedly I'm not contagious anymore. So I'm going to take my home workout and go to the gym, but I'm not going to exhaust myself. My thought is to do between 8 and 12 minutes of Stairmaster, depending on how my body's feeling during that, to really get a pump into my legs and get that blood flow moving again. And then I'm going to do 2 to 3 exercises of legs
to get that mind-muscle connection back. Likely gonna do a hip thrust, a Bulgarian split squat, and some kind of leg press and or cable kickback. But I'm really just gonna gauge how my body's feeling because I don't wanna prolong feeling this way, obviously. And I know that some of you tend to feel like you're regressing when you feel sick and you're like, I'm losing a week of progress. I definitely had some of those mental lows this week. I was also during that, it was the time of the month. So that was kind of a double whammy. And I reminded myself the same thing I would remind my clients and friends and family members, that sometimes you have to step back slightly to come back forward. If you keep trying to push through, you're not really allowing your body that proper recovery. So I'm going to see how it goes and I will circle back. Let's just go kind of call it a pump and peace out and set up my day for success.
Part of getting back on track for me is getting organized, making things a little bit easier for me day to day. I'm one to get overwhelmed at times when, I have a whole room to clean or laundry to do. I think there's a lot of perfection on social media with organization and routine, and we forget the messy way to get there. Perfect meal prep containers don't look like that at the beginning. There's usually pots and pans and dirty spoons, so this is kind of me sharing the middle of it. You're probably wondering how the week went. I'm still getting used to speaking on camera. Honestly, it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me to share this experience because I'm so entrenched in it that at times, I forget that I'm learning in the middle of it and I have to be present for that as well. But I also want to be cognizant of sharing what's important and maybe leaving out the rest because sometimes things aren't applicable person to person. And I find I get a lot more deep during preps. So that might not resonate so much, but I'm curious to know how you get back on track and what your go-tos maybe have been in the past and how have you changed them to be more empowering. My voice is still gone, but I know that for me, when I've fallen off track in the past, it's been a struggle bus to get back on because you can be riddled with negative thoughts and you're already in a negative momentum. So that initial inertia out is the hardest part. And so I like to get as organized as possible to allow my thoughts to be clearer around the decisions that I need to make for something like a contest prep. So curious how you get back on the wagon after you fall off, because again, life's not perfect. So even the most successful people in the fitness world, they don't treat it like a perfection thing. The ones that stay in it the longest typically are the most flexible with themselves, but it comes with those foundational principles that we build through things like keeping organized. So this is such an old journal, but I'm remembering how I stayed on track in my last bikini preps. My calendar would be written out every week like this. Please don't look too closely. This is literally my brain dumps every week. And I remember color coding things by activity. Okay, blue is exercise or my training. Pink is a different location where I was visiting my family, for example. Green is grocery or meal prep related items. It was a lot every week. And then I remember how organized the rest of the week felt because it was just do it. I'm just inspired to do this again. And it was kind of a fun activity. So the other way I get back on track is sorting my meal prep in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. So I'll just start by doing low logic activities like chopping all of them and then putting them away and not thinking about it, so that when I come back, at least I'm already that step ahead. Or preparing a bunch of protein, putting it away, but then next time I'm just gonna portion it out if I feel like it, otherwise I know it's there. Or keeping it clear in the middle of the fridge. This is what I mean, this is not perfect, it's just portioned out, and this is just the beginning. I haven't really prepped my veggies or anything, and I still have to make breakfast. Sev made actually this bone broth out of a full turkey. He made turkey and carved it out, and then we just have a few other things throughout. If you're interested in seeing more about my self-prep or have any questions about how I'm self-coaching, connect with me on Instagram at YazzyFit, or you can email yazzyfitclients@gmail.com. was useful. Let me know what you want to see for this next vlog. This is going to be, I want to say, a more dialed in vlog, how I'm keeping momentum rolling in the last 8 weeks, setting myself up for a really good last 4 weeks. Nothing is perfect. Literally nothing is perfect, but it's just about how we move forward. So catch you in the next one.